Hotep, I am the Amen Osiris, the one and only undisputed God of law. We are Deception Stoppers, America's only child support education service, the 4D Destroyers. I am not a lawyer. This is not a law firm. I don't advocate you don't support your human offspring. Simply advocate you made them in private, then you take care of them in private. And today, I'm going to give a shout out to my man Roberto out there in Nevada. He sent me this, and I found it very, very interesting. So he asked me if I wouldn't mind sharing it with you all and busting it down a little bit. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. Okay. Now, gentlemen, the most prominent interaction that these crooks have with you is through this mail. All right. Number one, I keep telling you, stop accepting their mail. All right. I hope you're getting that, Roberto. All right. But the other thing is we're going to look at some words here. All right, this is from Clark County Office of the District Attorney, Family Support Division. District Attorney has an oath of office. All right, that oath of office, he's not supposed to be going after lucre. All right, lucre is basically filthy money. So he's breaking the law by putting this crap in here. Number two, all right, this is Clark County. Counties are corporations. This is an artificial person. An artificial person can only deal with other artificial persons. Being that this is a child support matter, the artificial person is the obligor or the non-custodial parent. All right. This place is located at 1900 Flamingo Road, Suite 100, Las Vegas. All right. NV. All right. That's a abbreviation for federal territory, and that means Nevada, and it is under federal territory. It is in a federal jurisdiction. It is in a federal revenue district. That is what, and it is in a military tribunal. All right, that's what these zip codes are used for. Okay, these are some other culprits. Okay, now let's go over this. It says, warning, this account is seriously overdue. To avoid significant sanctions authorized under Nevada revised statutes, including possible contempt proceedings in court, bench warrant, account seizure, denial of passport, credit reporting, suspension of professional license, driver's license, and or recreational hunting / fishing license. You must make a payment on this child support case now. Let's look at something. So they're authorized to sanction one under Nevada revised statute. What is a statute? Let's take a peek. Right here at the top. Statutes, ordinance, and codes are not laws. They are legislative rules of society. Legislative rules of society are given force through law. Law precedes rules. What is the law? The Constitution is the law. Okay? That's the only law. Statutes are not law. The Constitution is the law of the land. All right? And under the Constitution, right here, and this is Nevada Constitution, here it is. All men are by nature free and equal and have certain inalienable rights, among which of those are enjoying and defending life and liberty, acquiring, possessing, and protecting property, and pursuing and obtaining safety and happiness. So if that's the law, don't you have the right to protect yourself? That money that you honestly acquire, that's your property. Okay? You have a right to protect that property. They're giving you the impression here that you don't. That's number one. Okay? Number two, it says payment. Let's look. It says you must make payment on this child support case now. Let's look at some definitions. There it is. Payment. The fulfillment of a promise or performance of an agreement. All right. Well, did you make a promise to pay? No. Did you go into a contract? Performance means what? You're fulfilling your contractual agreement. Agreement means what? Mutual binding contract. Where's that information? I didn't promise to pay no money, and I damn sure ain't performing under a contract. So what gives them the right? Look, perform an obligation or its contract to execute or fulfill or accomplish it according to its terms. All right, tell you what, I'll be more than happy to pay. Show me the contract. There is no contract. What they're doing here, right, is some real slick shit. Okay? Now, they're telling you, all right, contempt. Contempt of what? Child support's in the executive branch. And when that judge enters a contempt order, against that fictitious person, that judge is doing it in return for payment from a private corporation. That means he or she is accepting bribes. If a judge puts a bench warrant, all right, they're doing that in return for payment from the Child Support Enforcement Agency, and they are accepting a bribe. What is an account? It says if this account is seriously overdue. Let's check into that. All right, gentlemen, the objectivity is, again, all right, you know your words. All right. This document here is nothing more than what you call a directory, and I'll show you that in a second. Account, a detailed statement, here it is, of the mutual demands in the nature of a debt and credit between parties arising out of contracts or some fiduciary action, relation. Again, no contract. And how do you have a fiduciary relation? That means you have become, if you have a fiduciary relation, that means you have succeeded to the status of what's known as a guarantor. Okay? A guarantor is the person who becomes secondary liable for another's debt or performance. One who promises to answer for the debt, default, or miscarriage of another. Did you become the guarantor for this alleged debt that they're asking you to pay? It's a serious question. Okay? So now, here is where your independence was lost. Okay? So let's see. Account seizure. So if you ain't got no accounts, they can't seize it. All right? And the only way you can get an account, and this is a bank account, is if you use a social security number. Denial of passport. Okay? Social security number. Now, as far as the account seizures, I've already taught you that the banks are under contract with the child support agency. All right, the bank is giving away your information. They're not protecting your shit. Denial of a passport. Passport's not yours. Okay. Credit reporting. Credit reporting. What do they need to report? A credit. Social security number. Suspension of professional license, driver's license, and/or recreational license. Okay. A license is a permission to do something. You ain't got no license, they can't suspend it. Okay. You must make a payment. So here's the thing. This all right here, by you having all this right here, this gives them personal jurisdiction over you. You succeeded. And you waive that right. Look. You waive that right of it doesn't say independent here. Okay, but you waived your independence. You're dependent on them for something. That's how they're able to get over you. So because you depend on them for something, they're going to strip you, all right, of that dependency until you do what they say. Now, it says to avoid sanctions. Let's look up the word sanction. There we go. Past it. All right. Sanction. Now, let's have some fun with this word. In the original sense of the word, a penalty or punishment provided as a means of enforcing obedience to a law. Okay? Statutes are not law. They are legislative rules to society. How did you become subject to that rule? In jurisprudence, a law is said to have a sanction when there is a state which will intervene if it is disobeyed or disregarded. Well, disobeyed? Wait a minute. Hold on, wait. We got a problem here. Disobeyed? Hold on. Aren't you free? Aren't you free? Free means not subject to the legal constraint of another, having the power to follow the dictates of his own free will. Black's Law's Dictionary, page 791. Aren't you free? You see why it's important to look up these words? Well, hold on, I'm free. All right, so therefore, international law has no legal sanction. In a more general sense, this is the one I like. In a more general sense, a conditional evil annexed to a law to produce obedience to that law. And so it's evil what they're doing. This is a conditional evil. All right. In a still wider sense, an authorization of anything. You're not. I'm free. The law doesn't authorize you to do anything against me unless I have a contract. Occasionally, sanction is used in Roman law to denote a statute, the part of penal clause being used to denote the whole. But therefore, guess what? This is, I like it right here, a conditional evil annexed to produce the obedience to that law. Okay, show me the law that says that I'm no longer free and I have to obey your laws. Ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. They can't produce it. The only problem that you have is you keep going under their jurisdiction by getting all this shit. See? All right? You have 5 days. Your payment is due immediately. You have 5 days from receipt of this notice to make a payment equal to 1 month's court-ordered child support plus a reasonable arrears payment. Court-ordered child support. Let me see that court order. While you're at it, let me see that 45 CFR 302.34 contract, which is required by the federal government. Okay, there must always be a contract when one is performing Title 4D service and receiving payments for that service. There has to be a contract. Let me see that contract. All right, now they're going to start looking at you sideways. Okay, now pay by mail, pay by telephone, pay in person. I like that one. Pay in person. A person is not such because they're human, but because rights and duties are ascribed to them. The person is the legal subject in which rights and duties are attributes. Black's Law's Dictionary, page 1300. Gentlemen, I know these words. That's why it's important for you to gorge them. Okay? Now, so they want you to pay. Excuse me. Let's look at what happens when the government starts dealing and demanding commercial paper. It was conceded in the argument that when the United States become parties to commercial paper, they incur all the responsibilities of private persons under the same circumstances. So, because you're demanding payment of fiat currency, of commercial paper, this is not a government. This is deemed a private entity. You can also read up on that in Clearfield Trust. Matter of fact, let's do a couple of these real fast. All right, here's a couple of case laws. That government is, hold on. And I took this out of Belligerent Claimant. This is one of my favorite books. Government is a corporation, municipal in nature, but still a corporation, and was recognized as such by the courts in Penhollow versus Doan, 355 Dallas, and in Clearfield Trust. That in the Supreme Court decisions generally known as Clearfield Trust versus United States, the court assigns certain burdens and responsibilities to corporate government in the following language. Remember, that county, Clark County, is a corporation. Once the United States waives its immunity and does business with its citizens, it does so much as a party never cloaked with immunity. So guess what? They're not immune, okay? They're not immune because they're trying to do business with a citizen. A citizen is what? A corporation. Corporation is an artificial person. All right. If governments are corporations, remember, artificial persons can only deal with other artificial persons. They need you to be the guarantor for that. Let's do another one. When the United States enters into contract relations, all right, gentlemen, 31 U.S.C. 6305 is the contract between the federal government and the states for the states to allow the federal government to offer and sell Title 4D services in that state. Its rights and duties therein are governed generally by the law applicable to contracts. Where is the contract? Between private individuals. Okay, Franzoni Associates versus United States. When the United States, with constitutional authority, makes contracts, it has rights and incurs what? Responsibilities, similar to those of individuals who are party to such instrument. What is an instrument? It is a contract. There is no difference. United States versus Winstar Corporation. United States does business on business terms. United States versus National Exchange Bank. It was conceded in argument that when the United States becomes party to commercial paper, they incur all the responsibilities of private persons under the same circumstances. Cook versus United States. Still, a government may suffer loss through the negligence of its officers. If it comes down from its position of sovereignty and enters into the domain of commerce, it submits itself to the same laws that govern individuals there. Cook versus United States. The United States, as a drawee of commercial paper, stands in no different light than any other drawee, as stated in Go United States versus National Exchange Bank. The United States does business on business terms. It is not accepted from the general rules governing the right and duties of drawees by the largest of its dealings and having to employ agents to do what, if done by a principal in person, would leave no room for doubt. Clearfield Trust. All right. So because he's asking for payment, okay, they have stepped down from the law. So now look, ain't no statutes now. Even though statutes aren't law, this is out the window. This is commercial. Okay. This is done in a private capacity. And if by chance, if I didn't know any better, I mean, which and I received this letter, I will respond to it just like that. I would tear every word down on here and I'll respond to it. Well, I'll tell you what, a payment. Where's the contract? I want to see the contract between the federal government and the state. I want to see the contract between the federal government and the county. Okay, this is all contractual. Number two, you're in federal territory. I do not reside in federal territory. I do not accept mail with zip codes attached to it addressed to an obligor. Okay, that's a violation. You broke the law by opening this artificial person's mail. Okay, now let's keep moving. Now this is the part I like, and I say this in every video. You are under a legal obligation, court order, to support your children. Now, again, we don't advocate that you don't support your human offspring. We advocate that if you made them in private, take care of them in private. Let me see here. Liberty of consciousness. I'm looking to see, right? Okay, here we go. Liberty of consciousness, the free and exercise and enjoyment of religious profession and worship without discrimination or preference shall forever be allowed in this state. Well, hold on, man. These are my offspring. Not only are they my seed, but they are the seed of God. And guess what? I don't need your interaction. I don't need you to be bothering me and dictating to me how I raise my offspring. Because you want to know why? Check this out. You can't do it anyway. Why? Because I'm free. I am not constrained to your legal constraint. I can follow the dictates of my own free will. My own free will says this is bullshit, and I'm not paying you a dime, and you're going to leave me alone. Now, to support your children, it is in your best interest, in addition to the payment you make after receiving this letter, to continue to make consistent and regular payments on your child support obligation. Your children depend on you for support. Of course they do. But guess what? My children do, but I'm not paying you. Look, county district attorney. Now, it says support your children. Let's go to Nevada child support website, and we're going to go and we're going to pull an application. What is that? NV. And Nevada child support. Child support, DWSS. Excuse the sniffling and sneezing. I think I'm trying to come down with a cold. All right. Application for child support services. Oh, incidentally, gentlemen, I'm sorry. Let me show you this real fast. Federal law has required them, all right, to increase the application fee from $25 to $35. They've also added an additional $50 on the annual user's fee. Okay. So again, commercial paper, this is a private entity. It's a private business. It is a private corporation. It has stepped down from sovereignty of any government, and it has no immunity now because they're demanding money. They're offering and selling a service. All right, let's go to this application. All right, and gentlemen, always go to the application. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to bypass all that. I'm going to get to the information. All right, here we go. Number one. All right, social security number. This is the applicant's information. Okay. City, state, and what? Zip code. All right, right here, confirming you're on federal territory. All right, Medicare children information. There it is. That's what I want. Look, bam, Social Security number. Bam. So, whose children? It is the you want to support. You want me to support my children? Okay. Now, I will support my offspring. I don't have any children. Children are the property of the Social Security Administration. Anything identified by that Social Security number is the property of the Social Security Administration. All right, and I'm gonna pull it up again for you. You go right to it. Watch it pop right up. There it is. 20 CFR 422-103D. It also says this on the back of the card, right above the address of the SSA. Social Security number cards are the property of the SSA and must be returned upon request. So, because a child is positively identified by a Social Security number, that makes it the property of the Social Security Administration. Furthermore, Social Security card numbers are not forms of identification. And to prove that, all you got to do, look, pull out your Social Security card or any other form of identification, passport, driver's license, work ID, whatever it is, right? And look on them and put the Social Security number. You find that it does not have a picture on it. That is not a form of identification. It only identifies the property of the Social Security Administration. That's all any of these numbers do. Okay? Children information. So we got that. Look, non-custodial pay rent, Social Security number. These are all artificial persons. Remember, corporations can only deal with other corporations. Okay? So I'm not obligated to pay for someone else's property. Just imagine, and I tell everybody this, you are home, and let's say you rent your home. I don't care where you're at. All right, and you get a knock on the door from the county tax man, right? So let's say the Clark County tax man knocks on your door and he says, sir, there's a $5,000 tax lien on this property. How do you plan on paying it? Okay, that's what he's doing right here. Okay, well, what do you mean pay it? Well, I'm the renter. I'm not the owner. Oh, you need to go and see the owner. Oh, okay. Well, in essence, the county the tax officer would have actually already known that. I'm using this scenario, but if he happened to ask you as the renter to pay the lien taxed on that property, you are not obligated to pay. The money that they're asking for is a lien on the Social Security numbers. Okay? The Social Security number is liened against the non-custodial pay rent, who is the property of the Social Security Administration. You want me to pay property taxes, a lien on someone else's property? I'm not doing that. Show me the law that says that I'm obligated. What law? Wait, you can't find the law because statutes and codes aren't law, and not to mention I'm free. Okay, I'm not obligated to legislative rules of society. What society are they talking about? Legislative rules of a society? Excuse me. What is the legislature? That is the legal society. Okay? They're given force through law. All right, what gives it the force of law? Your consent. Okay? The government was created to be a benefit, security, and protection of the people, and it has to have your consent, or it does not have just power. So without your consent, what they're doing here is wrong. Okay? This is straight bullshit. This is a directory, and I've given you a class on it. All right, I'm going to show it to you again. The more I beat it in your head, all right, the more you beat it into your head, the better off you will be at it. Now, oh, there we go. Directory, right here. A provision in a statute, rule, up there it is again, rule of procedure or the like, which is mere direction or instruction of no obligatory force and involving no invalidating consequences for disregard as opposed to an imperative or mandatory provision that must be followed. And one more will do a provision. Okay, so what you're seeing, what I showed you there, right? This is a directory. There's no legal obligating force to this. Why? Because they're asking for a payment. Okay, they're asking for a payment. Is what they're doing. I'm not obligated to pay you. I have no contract. Okay? I have no contracts with you. I made no promise to pay. Look up the words. Number two, this is a federal, you're acting under federal jurisdiction. I'm not under federal jurisdiction. I'm not a United States citizen. I don't live in the United States. I was not born in the United States. All right. For those of you who don't know, excuse me, I will use Las Vegas. Las Vegas is a country. The state of Las Vegas, that state building, that's the corporation. That's who you go to get all this stuff. And when you do, you fall under their jurisdiction, and it's all federal. Okay. So that's how I would handle a document like this. If you received a document like this or similar to this, all right, we can create a response for you that will blow the socks off of whatever puny mortal reads it. It'll be more than they can comprehend. And the beauty of it is, you ain't got to reinvent the wheel. You could throw a few case laws in here, but more importantly, you want to tear down these words. So look, they're giving you the false impression of something. Statutes ain't law. Payment. Oh, where's the contract? I want to see the judge's contract. I want to see the contract between the county and the DWSS. Let's see. We're going to go back here, see if I can get it back. Look, Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Welfare and Supportive Services. Now, the Department of Human Services, gentlemen, is in the executive branch of government, right? Bam. It is not in the judicial branch of government, and under Section 3, distribution of powers, the powers of the government of the state of Nevada shall be divided into 3 departments: the legislative, there it is, Legislative Rule Society, the executive, and the judicial. And no person charged with the exercise of powers properly belonging to one of these departments shall exercise any functions appertaining to either of the others, except in cases expressly directed or permitted in this Constitution. Gentlemen, it is not permitted within the Constitution. It doesn't say anything about the court going under contract in return for payment, taking bribes from the executive branch and authorizing it. Does not happen. Okay? So, yes, Roberto, this is bullshit. I'm glad that you sent it to me. All right, gentlemen. All right, again, this is now your weapon. This is now how you would use your knowledge and your skills to basically send this directory back and let these people know you must have fell and bumped your fucking head. Let me tell you what your directory is stating here. And you break it all down. And then you throw a couple case laws in here, right? You let them know, you're in a private capacity here. You're asking for private, you're asking for commercial paper. All right. Since you've asking for commercial paper and you're doing business in commercial paper, you have stepped down from any sovereignty that you had. You are now a private individual. And guess what? As a private individual, you got as much authority over me as the girl that works behind the Burger King counter. It is just that simple, gentlemen. Now, if they ignore you, fine and dandy. If they arrest you and then do what they do, then, fine and dandy. All right. Most of the time, they'll go away. Sometimes they will not. But if you hit them, right, you kick them in the balls hard with some steel-toed boots, the 4D crime family will start leaving you alone. All right. So learn how to compose what needs to be composed. And look, this is a district attorney. And attorneys have, let me see if I can find this. Attorneys have a oath of office. Let's see. Let me see. All right, I'll go one better. Nah, we won't. Well, we'll cover that on the next one. All right, but what you want to do is start looking in the Constitution. This man has a oath of office. He doesn't have an oath to uphold the Title 4D provisions. All right, and I will leave you with this. All right, in Title 4D are provisions, and I will leave you with this. And I've taught you this before, but again, redundancy, gentlemen, is all it is. Oop, I gotta go up to the P's. Tired. OP. There we go. Provisions. This is a very important word to know, gentlemen. Okay? Because Title 4D, which is not law, is actually built off of provisions. And this is how you know that it is contractual. Provision. Foresight of the chance of an event happening sufficient to indicate that any present undertaking upon which it is assumed realization might exert a natural and proper influence was entered upon in full contemplation of it being a future possibility. So, in other words, they're looking provisions, they're all built off chance. The event happening is a contract. All right. Undertaking is a contract. Right. Natural and proper influence. Really? How do you properly influence somebody to go into a contract? You enter into a contract. Okay. And it's a future possibility. And let's do one more. Undertake. Undertake. An engagement by one of the parties to contract to the other as distinguished from a mutual agreement. So, in other words, when you're undertaking, you're contracting with them. You're making that promise. You're making that commitment to pay. And unless you have undertaken to do so, then guess what? This is nothing more than a mere directory. I'm the Amin Osiris. If you need help, bang my email, 4D_destroyer@yahoo.com. And we will educate you further on what you need to do. If you wish to talk to me, you can hit me at that email and schedule an appointment. The email is going to be in my description box. And start doing your research. All right, start tearing down your words. Okay, start looking at your case laws and prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is a directory. And that way, when you hit the district attorney back, right, with your affidavit that you're going to get notarized and sent in by certified mail, he's going to read that shit. He's going to be like, oh, goddamn. Let me send this motherfucker something. I guarantee you, he will not bother you no more. All right? Well, I can't guarantee it, but there's a 98% chance that he won't, but the 2% chance still exists. I think that's a better form of putting it. Okay? So, you have learned, you have watched, all right? You have your assignment. If you've gotten garbage like this in the mail, number one, gentlemen, I keep telling you, stop accepting their mail. They're sending this mail to an obligor. An obligor is identified by a social security number, which is the property of the Social Security Administration. And this directory came with a zip code attached, which means when you accept it, you're automatically stating you're under federal jurisdiction and Title 4D applies to that of the United States citizen. You keep shooting yourself in the foot. All right? Stop doing what you're doing, and you will stop getting what you are getting. Hotep.